Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, director of Jonny Mozza's Lessons in Confidence. Today I want to talk about setting up a day of filming. If you're making films, if you're doing that kind of thing where you're directing, producing or whatever, you've needed to set up a day of filming. And if you're just getting into this and you want to be a director or whatever, then you're going to need to set up not just one day of filming, but like dozens and dozens of days of filming. Throughout all my projects, I've probably done about 50 days of filming total, where I've needed to set up everything myself and do like the auditions for the actors and get the DP on board, get the sound guys on board, find the location, figure out times and stuff like that, coordinate with everybody and their availability and the weather, see what works, see what doesn't, and then figure out blocking and all that kind of stuff, get the script, do all the various bits of documentation, and then go out and film it. And I feel like when you're just getting started, there's so much to take in that it can be quite overwhelming. And it might make you feel like there's no point because you won't be able to make a film because there's just so much to get done, and there really isn't. When I first started, I was doing all the like shot lists and like call sheets and every single bit of documentation you can think of, right? And recently, for this new film that I'm working on called Jonny Mozza's Lessons in Confidence, I'm not really doing any of that. Instead of doing a call sheet, I'm texting everyone a copy-paste template of like something I wrote out, which basically just details, here's where we're meeting, here's the postcode, here's like the nearest train station or whatever, this is what we're doing, this is when I expect us to be wrapped by, and here's a little bit of extra information. And I just get a confirmation from them. I send that a week before, and I also send it like maybe 2 days before, because it's important to make sure that they're like definitely confirmed, because the last thing you want is to turn up to a place and your DP doesn't show up, stuff like that, because there was a miscommunication, all that kind of thing, which has happened to me as well. And that was all my fault because I wasn't clear enough about what I wanted. And that's something that you need to take in as a potential director, is that you need to know that you need to be extremely specific about what you want. You need to know exactly what you want down to the ground, right? And when you're getting started, you don't necessarily know exactly what you want, you just know that you want to be a filmmaker, right? So first, you want to be a filmmaker. What kind of film do you want to make? If you said sci-fi, you're wrong. I know, like, I have done a video about how you shouldn't let the lack of budget limit your creativity and stuff. But at the same time, it's going to be so much easier for you if you just start with something quite simple, just so that you get your mitts into the nitty gritty and the ins and outs of making a film. See what works, see what doesn't, and because your first film is going to be a load of shite anyway, so don't worry so much about your first film, and don't spend like a year on it like I did. Spend at most like 3-4 weeks. Just get it in, get it done, get it out, and then forget about it and don't worry about it anymore, because there is no universe where your first film is your best one. Because if your first film was your best one, isn't that kind of a fucking awful thing? That means you're constantly chasing like this past creation that was so great. You know, if you look at all your favourite directors, someone left a comment on one of the other videos saying that Piranha 2 was the first film that James Cameron made. Now obviously he just took that as a little job. You know, it wasn't like his like passion project or anything like that. But at the same time, that film is a load of shite. And I don't think it's just because it's Piranha 2. You know, I think in general, he learned a lot from his failures directing that film, and he applied that to his next film, which I think was The Terminator. Or maybe he did one in between, I can't remember. I think Fear and Desire was Stanley Kubrick's first film, like first proper feature film. Before that, he used to do like these kind of, he did one about boxing and he did one about pilots. And I feel like they were almost like adverts for pilots and for boxing. Like they were kind of events, videography sort of things, rather than like creative bits of work. I might be wrong on that. But Fear and Desire was his first proper film. And I've never heard anyone say it's his best. I've never heard anyone say that they loved Fear and Desire. I thought it was all right. I didn't watch all of it. I think I turned it off. Yeah, it's certainly no Clockwork Orange or 2001 or anything like that. But so you're trying to get a day of filming sorted out, right? So here's what you need. You need you to do the directing or the producing or whatever it is you've decided, right? you need a bit of a script or an idea at least of what it is you're filming, right? Maybe that's not in script form, maybe that's an improvised form, right? But you need to at least know, how does the thing you're filming begin? What's the core meat and potatoes of it? And then how does it finish? And you need those three things at least, right? Then you need to think about the resources that are required for this. So say if the scene that you've come up with requires 3 actors and a ping pong table and ping pong ball, and they're like playing ping pong, and that's like the meat and 2 potatoes. Well, you need to get a ping pong ball, ping pong bats and a ping pong table, right? And you need to maybe find someone who has a ping pong table if you don't have a ping pong table. And maybe that will require going to various locations, trying to suss out where there is a ping pong table, and then figuring out, do they provide ping pong things? Will they allow you to film there? Or maybe it's just easier to change it to tennis and just go to a local tennis court or whatever, you know? So once you get that side of things figured out, the props and the locations and that kind of thing, then you think about the 3 actors. So you need one guy that's maybe got a beard, you need one guy that's kind of scrawny, and you need one that's a woman, right? Okay, well, let's get a woman, let's get a scrawny guy, and let's get a guy with a beard, right? So there's so many places you can get actors. You don't even need to get proper actors, you can just use your friends. But if you want to get actors, there'll be regional websites that are relevant to you. But if you're based in the UK, I can recommend mandy.com and starnow.com. There's also various Facebook groups for, you know, actors wanted and all this kind of stuff. Maybe look for student stuff, because student stuff, they won't, you know, be getting paid really and stuff like that. They're not unionized. When you're just starting out, you don't want to be paying people like mad amounts of money, because you're going to burn through all your money very, very quickly. You want to just try and make something fun, easy, simple, enjoyable, and keep doing that. So once you've got that first day, you get on there, you get onto the day of filming, right? You want to get there earlier than everyone else so that you have a bit of time to just relax, figure yourself out, what you're going to do, get into your own little head a little bit before other people start showing up, because the last thing you want is to get there to the location already being a bit stressed out, not get any time to, you know, relax yourself, and then just have to go straight into it, because that will lead to you making shoddier decisions, right? So you want to get there, relax a little bit, try and get your head out of the film for just a second, right? And then actors come or the cinematographer comes. You just need to get all the people in the same location with the same idea, which is to shoot this thing. And then it's basically just a case of answering questions. That's what you do as a director, you answer questions. I think the biggest day of filming that I've done in terms of the number of people we had on board for that day was about 20, and we were filming in a pub. And so with 20 people that I'm technically like in charge of, right, that I'm managing here, right, because that's what you are as a director or producer, you're a manager essentially. And people would come up to you every 30 seconds or a minute, right, very, very frequently, and ask you a question. And you need to have an answer to that question. Whether it's the right answer or it's the wrong answer, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you answered the question, okay? It's like a test, right? Say you take a test, right? And you answer half the questions, only the ones that you were sure are right? You're going to end up getting some of those wrong anyway, and you're going to fail the test. If you answer all the questions, sure, you might have gotten a higher percentage of them wrong, but you answered more questions, which means that you might have passed. So, you know, you're gonna make some wrong decisions, you're gonna make some bad decisions, you're gonna do things incorrectly sometimes, and that's kind of fine, because it's all a learning process, and you're never gonna get to a point where you've learned everything. Steven Spielberg hasn't learned everything there is to learn about filmmaking, and he's made like 50 films by now, 60 odd years of experience in the industry, right? One of the most famous directors ever, right? Up there with like Hitchcock and all that kind of stuff. Whether you love his films or not, he is one of the most like recognized directors around. And he doesn't know everything either. He doesn't know every single thing that there is to know. And I think ignorance can be wielded as a weapon of creativity, where you basically just go forward and just wield this little sword of creativity and just see what damage you can do, and have a bit of fun with it, essentially. And yeah, the more days of filming that you do, the more confident you'll get with it, and the more consistent you'll be able to be, and the more that you'll be able to understand your own flow, and you'll make your own formula. And once you figure all that sort of stuff out, then you're, you know, not necessarily laughing, but you're you're doing it and you know how to do it, and it's not a big stressful thing. It's not like this is the biggest deal of your life anymore. I've arranged already this year about 4 or 5 days of filming for various things. And to me, it's just like that. It's just done. I don't even need to really worry about it. And a lot of the paperwork and that kind of thing, if you're just starting out, if you're just doing like low, no budget stuff, you don't really need a lot of it. You know, you might need release forms, you might need like insurance stuff. Figure that out, the specifics to you. But generally you probably can do without it. You'll probably be all right. Yeah, don't worry so much about like all of this like stuff that they teach you about in you know, film school or media classes or whatever, because a lot of it is relevant to an industry that you're not actually a part of yet. You're developing a portfolio because at some point the idea is to try and get into that industry, but you're not in that industry yet, and you don't need to play by the same rules of them. And that's an advantage. Use that advantage while you have it, okay? Because at some point when you are part of the industry, you're gonna have to start thinking about insurance forms and all this sort of bullshit, and like location release forms and like crazy stuff, and like you'll be having to fork out like loads and loads of money for one single shoot. And you'll be looking back on these days when you just did everything just simply with your friends or with people that you met through Mandy or Star Now or whatever, and you'll appreciate it for what it was. A load of people coming together under a singular vision to create something fun for people to enjoy. And that's all this is. We're creating art, essentially. I mean, that sounds a bit pretentious to say, but I mean, that is what we're doing at the end of the day, whether we like it or not. And yeah, just start. You don't have to worry so much about it, because if you do it wrong, then worse that happens is you did it wrong, and now you know not to do it that way next time, and you'll do it a different way. Maybe that will be wrong as well, and then you'll just figure, okay, well those 2 ways didn't work, I'll try it this way, and then this way doesn't work either. Okay, well I'll try it this way. Okay, that didn't work, I'll try it this way, that didn't work. And then you just keep trying and trying and trying and trying until you find something that works. And when you find something that works, this one worked, right, I'm gonna do more of that, okay? Because that clearly worked. Whatever that was, it was going well. Let's do some more of that style. Whether that's like a particular style of shooting, whether that's like a particular group of people you're working with, whether it's particular locations that are amazing, whether it's a particular type of story. Maybe you find yourself, you know, working best with comedies or with dramas or whatever, right? I think that my best stuff is probably all the comedic, semi-comedic stuff. I wouldn't say full-on comedic. I don't do proper mega like laugh out loud comedy very well, but I do sort of like, you know, dry humor quite well, that kind of thing, I think. I'm decent at that. That's my little specialty. That's my zone of interest. And so I now do more stuff in that little sphere because I'm comfortable in that sphere, and there's a lot to explore in that sphere, you know. And it's not like I'm, you know, afraid of trying other things. I've done more serious stuff as well, and it's fun to just try a bit of everything, and you know, you taste different genres. You know, the same way that you're at a buffet, you might try a bit of this shrimp. I don't like that. Try some oysters. Ooh, those aren't too bad. Bit sickly though. Ooh, rice. Love a bit of rice, you know. And then just kind of go forward like that, and just keep trying stuff, keep having fun with it, and keep doing it, and just keep creating, everybody. Yeah, that's basically the core of this video, is just keep creating and don't get super in your head about all the logistics of it, because the logistics are very, very simple. Get all these people to this location at this time with a few bits of equipment, right? A few props, and just start filming, right? And there'll be things that you'll learn along the way, like SD cards and stuff like that, and backing your footage up and all that sort of stuff. I mean, I've turned up to set and then had to go back home to pick up an SD card, and it's fucking embarrassing doing that. And it wastes a lot of time as well. So if there's anything I will tell you, is just triple, quadruple check that you got your SD cards with you, because fucking hell, it's so embarrassing. Because you look like a tit, right? So don't do that. That's a lesson that I will tell you straight away, and that's something that you don't want to learn from experience. You just want to learn what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And certain things will work for you and certain things won't, but they might work for someone else. So yeah, that's basically the video. So please leave your comments in the thing below about what your experience of filmmaking is. What was your first film? How did you do it? Did you get super in your head about the logistics of it, or did you just go out there and start creating? And what worked best for you? Maybe you disagree entirely with this video, and if so, please let me know why. Because I probably spouted a load of shite, and I'd like to hear how I did so, so that next time I make one of these videos, I can not spout a load of shite. So yeah, thank you very much everybody. Hope you have a good rest of the day, and yeah, take care everybody. Bye bye. Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, director of Jonny Mozza's Lessons in Confidence, and today I'm doing a review of the Smart Lav Plus thing, whatever it's called, I can't remember. It's not associated with Rode, hence I don't even remember the name of the bloody lav mic. I just thought, you can see my hair, right? It's blowing quite far in the wind. You can see I'm at a beach, right? You can see that it's windy, right? So I thought I would do this as a bit of a test to show you that these lav mics are kind of all right in the wind. I've got the audio recorder, it just connects to your phone. Yeah, it goes down here, put it for your shirt, put it onto this, and you can see this is my voice. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to be silent for 3 seconds. So you see that little bit around there, it's moving to the left, okay? That's the base level of audio. That's the wind noise, that's the ambiance. I'm in France, so I can say the word ambiance with a little bit more passion, with a little bit more drive. And you know, as you can see, the hair is really like blowing through. And I just thought it would be a good idea to just show you what these lav mics can do out in the wild, out in various places. And as time goes on, if I ever find myself in really windy places, if I find myself up a mountain or something, and I've got the lav mic on, I'm going to do a review of the lav mic, because so far, I have not had a single problem with the lav mic. I had one issue where it was a little bit windy, but the wind didn't sound that bad. It just sounded like normal wind. It just sounded like the wind that you would sort of get in general life. And so look, if I'm sort of stand over here, right? So I'm just sort of going around, right? That's a packet of crisps that's in my pocket. Just sort of jiggle around, right? So you can see, oh, I'm way out of shot. So you can see, it's quite a good little lav mic, this. It's very, very useful for all your recording requirements. It is extremely cold though, so the main limitation is actually that my own ability to enunciate words has actually gone downhill because of this. So let's try something, right? So as you can see, just using a everyday lighter. So you can see, each of these little spikes is the lighter lighting the cigarette, right? I can't seem to light a cigarette because... Does that give you an idea of how windy it is here? The wind's gone down a little bit for the sake of the video, which thanks God. But I think it's just a good little way of showing that these lav mics are really useful in various situations. I got them not really expecting much. I kind of just got them because they were like 50 quid. I thought, whatever, it's a little, if it doesn't work, and at least I can use them for like little things here and there, and they can be a backup, you know? If I go on trips away and stuff, and it can be my backup microphone. And no, they've ended up becoming my main thing. I've got a Deity S-Mic 2, it costs like 400 quid, right? I prefer this. I've actually gotten a bit sick of boom mics now, and I just prefer lav mics. Now, admittedly, there is something a little bit weird about recording into a phone, because the phone has its own compressor and stuff like that it adds onto it, and it's got its own EQ and things, because that's what a phone is good at. It's good at deciphering noise within a larger context. Do you know what I did earlier? I sent a voice note, right, which was me playing a song. Right, and it had vocals on it, and I was playing the acoustic guitar, and I sent this as a voice note to someone. It's just like a demo of what the song was going to sound like, and I listened to the song back, and it was literally just my voice, and it had somehow gotten rid of the acoustic guitar noise, and I just thought, how the hell has it done that? I really didn't have a clue how it had managed to achieve that, and I just thought, well, damn, if that's what these phones are actually capable of, if you put something like this onto it, then you're doing something well for yourself. There is a more expensive version, which I'm going to try at some point. I might get one of those. And then I'll review that as well. I've just put the light straight through that hole. So yeah, I'm in France where the wind is more French and a lot more aggressive. Those two aren't related, but it's just like the wind here is ridiculous. And that little pop, this is... So you can hear, that's the sound of it. And do you know what I noticed? All the sounds of things just sound fairly normal. They sound like what they sound like in real life. If a plane is blowing out your conversation in real life and you're having to shout over the plane, I feel like it only makes sense you have to shout over the plane for the sake of the audio, because it makes it feel normal. right? Sometimes audio is crap in real life to your own ears. You ever like at a concert or a club or something and you're trying to hear someone's conversation over the blaring music? You don't always want great audio, you want realistic audio, because realistic audio isn't always good. Sometimes it sounds like crap, and that's part and parcel of the entire experience of having ears and listening out for things. Now I know this isn't any kind of technical review, right? I don't have internet or anything, so I can't even look up any technical specifications. It's I do know one thing. It is not cardioid microphone where it goes out like that. That's what a boom mic does. It kind of goes out like that, right? And it's quite a thin receptor. And basically I'm talking about, if you got say this is the microphone, right? And you want the audio going kind of like that. If you got the subject over here, so you want it to go kind of like that. Sometimes microphones go a bit like that. These microphones will go all around because the microphone is in front of me, right? So it needs to be able to record from many different positions. So say if I put it like over here, 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 over here. It's not really, the waveforms aren't changing too much. And also another good thing about these lav mics is you can whack them onto things as like, you know, just as a plant mic. I can't whack it onto this because it's too thick, but fuck it. So you can do stuff with it. You can hold it up to people. You can get little wind covers for them, which maybe I should have considered for filming out here in the wind. So say I put it up to my face like this. This doesn't sound great. This sounds all right. This sounds all right. This sounds all right. This sounds all right. And let me just pull it. This sounds all right. This sounds all right. Can you not? This sounds all right. This sounds all right. Sorry, it just came up with some advert, and like I'm in the middle of recording a video here. So you can see that they have various uses, right? You can see that you can get quite a lot from these things. I like them. I like these lav mics, and I'm just doing this as a general test, just to show you. Like I'm not sponsored by Rode for this, so I'm just doing this. Like Rode makes some crap products as well, you know, but this isn't one of them. So yeah, this is the general video. I know it's not a brilliant video. You know, I know this video kind of sucked, but what are you gonna do? So thank you very much for watching it. Hope you enjoyed it. It's just weird speaking English because I'm in France and there's French people around who can see me speaking English to a camera like I'm like some like vlogger. I don't like that because I'm not a vlogger. Let me put it down like on the chest. I saw a thing with some like crypto scammers, and they had the lav mics down here, and I think this is a really weird place to have it. Like it's just, I feel like it should be a bit higher up. Some people have them like right up here. And I think that's a bit weird because like your chin is getting in the way. It's blocked because the channel right goes from here up to here. My chin is blocking and absorbing the audio, and the audio is coming out of my mouth like that, right? So really, you want it to be in a place where it can capture as much of that forward kinetic audio energy as possible. So I'm going out like this, right? So really, that's pointed in the wrong direction. You kind of want it to go forwards. You kind of want it to sort of be a bit like that. So now there's a bit of the surround cardioid thing, the general recording sphere. You need to understand how recorders and audio works to understand this review. Otherwise, I am just talking gibberish. Go watch like Curtis Judd. He does real audio reviews. If you want, he's probably reviewed this. If you wanted a real review, right, go look up Curtis Judd. He does like tests and stuff. I don't do tests. I just piss about. So yeah, that's it. That's the video. Goodbye. Take care. Love you. Hey up everybody. My name's Joshua Morrison, director of Jonny Mozza's Lessons in Confidence. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about routine, how it's good to have routine a little bit, but I feel like if you do too much routine, then you can start to feel a little bit unfulfilled with life, and you might wonder why you feel unfulfilled with life, because I've had so many routines throughout my life, you know, where, you know, you say, let's take a basic routine. You get up at, say, 7 a.m., right? You have your breakfast, and then you get to work for 9 a.m., so you leave your house at maybe like 8:15, right? And you know to leave your house by 8:15, otherwise you're gonna be late. And then you get to work, and you work until, let's say, 5, and then you get back about like nearly 6. You make yourself some food, and then you sit down, maybe you watch some YouTube, you watch a movie, or you play some video games or whatever, up until about maybe 9 or 10. And then, you know, maybe you brush your teeth and all that kind of stuff, and then you go to bed. and then you wake up, and then you need to leave your house by 8:15, and you get in and you do the work, and then you come back and you watch some movies or you play some video games or whatever. And so you're basically doing the same thing each day, and the only variations are what movie are you watching, what video game are you playing, are you near the end of the video game, or are you near the start of the video game, or like that kind of thing. And you're just kind of doing the same thing again and again. And when you started this routine, once you fell into the routine and you were able to do the routine and realize that you could do the routine, that felt really, really good. And that good feeling starts to dissipate. It starts to dissipate with time, because you're just doing the same thing again and again. You're not really experiencing new stuff, and the new stuff that comes, might be like maybe on the weekends you go meet a couple mates or whatever, and maybe that starts to like blend in with one another. Each time you go and meet them, you meet them in the same place, and you talk about the same kind of stuff, and then you leave at the same time. There's never like some grand like breaking of the chain, where some really strange experience happens to you, like for negative or positive. Some really weird bad stuff could happen to you, and it breaks that routine, and suddenly you're without a routine, and that can feel bad. But at the same time, you no longer do you feel that emptiness. Even though you've got something bad going on in your life, you at least don't feel the emptiness. You feel something else, something actively negative, rather than just this passive ambivalence to the world. And I feel like what you should do is routinely set new routines for yourself. So let's say we had that routine of like getting up at 7 and then going into work at 9, that kind of thing. Let's say, bam, you get fired from that job, right? Or you leave that job for whatever reason because you've got another job lined up. And instead of this being a 9 to 5, Monday to Friday sort of thing, now you're maybe getting in at like noon and you're working till 8, right? And so now you get back and you go to bed a little bit later, and it's a new routine, new things start to happen. Maybe like, you're making food in a different, like maybe you've moved house and you're making food in a new house, or you're going to a different gym, or you're going to different shops, or that kind of thing. And then that new routine starts to blend in with itself and starts to become the same kind of thing again and again. And I feel like, a lot of the stuff on the internet in terms of self-improvement is all about setting routines for yourself, but they never really get into what do you do once you've got the routine and you start to feel the emptiness. Like, so many times have I started a routine and like a couple months in, I'm just like, yeah, great, got the routine. Okay, I do this and I do that and I do this and I do that, and then this happens and I do that, and it's the same thing again and again and again, and you never feel anything new. You never feel any new experience, because the experiences that you've got, even if they're sort of positive, they're just the same thing again and again and again, and that gets a little bit boring, because variety is the spice of life. That's what we all want. We all want, a little bit of variety in our lives, and I feel like the best point in the routine is when you've just established it. That first maybe month-long like golden period of that, the honeymoon phase of your new routine. And then that will sort of start to falter, not because you're losing track of your routine. You're perfectly on your routine. You're doing the things that you need to be doing. Everything's getting done, blah, 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 blah. But you just feel this emptiness, and you're wondering about the emptiness, and you're wondering how do you actually resolve it. And you might feel like you need to try and resolve it whilst keeping the routine, and you're trying like little variations on it, because a lot of the self-improvement stuff is about generally like, discipline is a big thing. People like to talk about discipline, and like, don't let yourself have that nice thing, because you won't like it in the long run. And in certain cases that is true. Like, it might feel nice to just get like a takeaway every fucking day, but you can't keep that up. And sure, it's nice to do that once in a while for a bit of a change of pace, but if you just keep doing that, then you're just gonna get a bit sick of it, even though it's meant to be a nice thing. And so what I feel like is the best thing to do is to try and routinely set new routines for yourself. And that's the best way that I can really describe it, is just say that routine that I described at the start of the video, where you get up at 7, you get to work for 9, then you leave. Let's say you need to keep that job, obviously, right? So how can you adjust new variations for your routine with this fixed thing that needs to be there? Well, maybe instead of getting back and like playing the video games, I'm not going to go for the whole maybe you should read a book instead, but maybe just like maybe play the video games before you eat the dinner, or maybe, you know, if it's the other way around, then do it the other way around, or maybe like, I don't know, maybe with my nightly routine at the moment, what I tend to do is I finish up everything that I'm doing, and then I have my dinner, and then I cut back and I eat the dinner while I'm watching some YouTube videos, or like maybe an episode of The Simpsons or an episode of Family Guy or something like that, and then I go out and have a cigarette, and then I come in, and that's like, the cigarette is basically the, right now I am going to bed sort of thing. So I get back in and I brush my teeth after I've had the cigarette, and I, you know, do all that sort of stuff, the general grooming stuff, and then I get into bed. And then I sit on the laptop for a little bit and just watch some like more like podcasty, like, you know, like say kind of things like self-motivational kind of shit. Or, you know, maybe I find a new YouTube channel, I watch that YouTube channel every day until I get bored of it, and then I find a new YouTube channel, I watch that until I get bored of it. Or like I find a new TV show and I watch that until I get bored of it. And yesterday I did everything completely different. Because I felt really weak yesterday. I felt so weak I couldn't even go out for that cigarette. And so I ended up going to bed, and then I realized that I needed to eat food. So I got up and I made some food and I ate it in bed. I don't normally eat it in bed. I normally eat it at a desk. And just doing it in that different way, I woke up and I sort of thought, hang on, today things feel kind of interesting because, you know, I've woken up from a different habit than I normally wake up from, the habit that I do every single fucking day, you know? And that in itself was a refreshing feeling. It was interesting, it was nice. And that was just such a minute change, just flipping the order of the things that I do. So maybe just try that, just try flipping the order of the things that you do them in. You're doing all the same things, but maybe instead of having a shower in the morning, maybe you have a shower at night, you know? Or maybe the other way around, or maybe that, you know, maybe you, I don't know, just try different things in a different order and just see where your limits are, see what you like doing, see what you don't like doing, because you're going to get bored of whatever you're doing now that's your comfort zone, and it will stop being a comfort zone because no longer does it feel comfortable. And so you want to try and adjust what you're doing to how your mentality sort of is. When you're setting the routine, that's the best time to have the routine. And then once you're bored of the routine isn't helping you anymore. Like, it's just starting to set you back. So that's why I'm saying routinely set new routines for yourself. And if you can do that, then you'll be living a varied sort of life. Because they say that variety is the spice of life. They say that variety is the thing that makes everything interesting. And you know, maybe your job is a very consistent, you know, let's call it. Let's say you work in a warehouse, you work in an office, and you go in and you sit down and you do the typing and you do the Excel spreadsheets, and like maybe sometimes you have a meeting, you know, but it's the same shit all the fucking time. And I'm not saying like, you know, quit your job or anything like that. I'm saying try and find little ways of just changing the system that you have set for yourself. Because by doing that, you'll realize that you're quite a flexible person. You're this quite, and the more you do that, the more flexible you will become. If you just set a routine for yourself and you live within that routine, you'll become scared of changing that routine because it's worked for you for so long. But at the same time, you feel that emptiness. So is it really working? It's hard to really get into, and it's hard to figure out how you're going to approach that topic. How are you going to change what you're doing whilst not risking, you know, collapsing your routine entirely and just like becoming a lazy sort of person, which you don't want to do. So what I would say is change little things at a time, change little bits, you know, just change the order to begin with, and see what fulfills you, see what doesn't, and just ride along with the ride that your brain sets for you. Because, you know, if you stick with this routine forever, you're going to, you know, approach your old age and go, what did I do with my whole life? Oh, that's right, I got up at 7, and then I had my breakfast, and I had a shower, and then I left the house at 8:15, and then I got to work at 9, and then I went to the gym after I went to work, and then I got home, and then I had some dinner, and then I watched Family Guy, and then I had a shower, and then I went to bed, and then I did that again the next day, and 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 then the weekend came, and then I went and saw the same set of people, and we went to the same place, and we talked about the same sort of shit, and we left around the same time. Then I got back, and I, you know, watched some Family Guy, and I went to bed, and then I got up, and then had a bit of a lazy Sunday, sort of playing video games and that kind of thing, and then I went to bed, sort of dreading the week that's coming ahead, because I don't really want to be working 9 to 5 Monday to Friday, but I have to. And I'm sort of sitting here going like, oh, I don't want Monday to come around. And then Monday comes around and you do the whole thing again and again and again and again. And then that week blends into the next week, that blends into the next week. And you just get sick of it, you know? And you'll get to the point where you can't change your routine anymore because you don't have the physical energy to, because you've set it so like rigorously for yourself. And you've gotten so accustomed to it that you wouldn't know what to do without it. And if you just do that for your whole life, sure, it might work, it might function, but you'll be unfulfilled. At least I would. And I know other people would be different. Some people might thrive off a consistent routine, but some people might not. And I feel like a lot of self-improvement sort of things that you see on the internet are all about trying to set a routine, fit yourself in a little box so that you can be so you can maximize your productivity. And it's like, yeah, I want to be more productive, but at the same time, I don't want to not sell my soul, but just like sell my time, not for work, but just in terms of like the routine that I'm setting for myself. I don't want to have this kind of routine. I don't even really want to have any routine. I want to just wake up and see what today brings, you know? And if it brings something good, then cool. If it doesn't, then that was a shit day. And it's good to have those. Because if every day is just whatever, then what are you going to do? What are you going to talk about when you're older? Oh, this crazy experience I had. And I had this crazy experience. It's like, what did you do? Oh, the same thing, basically, every single day. And yeah, that's not a life that I want to live. And I imagine a lot of people don't want to live that. But, you know, setting a routine is the easiest way to stay on top of things. And, you know, I'm not saying to change your whole life overnight or anything, but just change little things. Maybe instead of like when you on the way back from work, maybe just go down that little park that you don't tend to go down, that you see that looks kind of interesting, but you've never really bothered going down it because you want to get home so that you can do this and do this and do this and do that. Maybe just go there, just have a wander around, you know, and then see if you want to go the next day. And if you want to go the next day, keep doing that until you're bored of going to that place, and then stop. And then just go back to what it was like before. And then once you get bored of that, maybe try a different thing. Maybe you're getting bored of movies, pick up video games. You're getting bored of video games, pick up a podcast. You're getting bored of podcasts, go back to movies, you know? And just like have a few different routines that you kind of go through and work things that way. And yeah, as you go through the journey, you'll figure out what works for you, what doesn't, what do you like doing, what do you not. And you'll know it. You'll know what you want, and the more that you change up what you do, the more you'll figure out what you like, essentially. So I think that's going to be the video. I apologise if it didn't make much sense. It's freezing at the moment, and I needed to take my jacket off so that I could film the video, so I could angle it up because the camera's sitting on my jacket, and I'm sitting on my arse on this like icy fucking grass. It's freezing. You know, it's hard to really, you know, and figure out your thoughts when it's really cold. I'm wondering why I'm not shivering, to be honest. So I don't know. But yeah, leave your comments in the description, in the comments thing, about what your routine is. What is your routine? How do you do it? Do you like your routine? How long have you been doing your current routine? And how do you keep it interesting? How do you keep your routine interesting? And do you completely disagree with everything that I've said? And if so, please leave a comment in the thing telling me why, and we can get a discourse going about it. So yeah, that's going to be the video. Thank you very much for watching, all that sort of stuff. And yeah, take care. Love you all. Bye-bye. Oh, I don't want to get up. Hang on. Ooh. Ow, 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 Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, director of Jonny Mozza's Lessons in Confidence. Today I wanted to give myself a little bit of retrospective advice to my sort of 17-year-old self. At 17 I was just coming out of college for creative media studies. I didn't really know what I wanted to do in the world. I didn't really know what my career was going to be. I didn't know what my future looked like. And you know, you start off and you think like you've got so much ahead of you. And then as your years go by, I'm not saying like as if I'm old, I'm only 25, but like I'm no longer 17, I'm nearly a decade into my adulthood now. And you know, I just sort of thought it would be good to sort of try and figure out what I would say to that version of myself. If like he just came around the corner and he said, "Oh, future Josh, what wisdom can you give unto me? And so the first one I would sort of say is, don't worry so much. Just keep trying to find new little jobs. Just do new little things. Say yes to all the opportunities that you're going to say no to. Because even if they don't lead anywhere, they're going to be an experience, and they're going to be something that you can take with you into the future. Then I would probably say sort of focus on getting that camera sort of first. Stop using the sort of equipment that you're borrowing off other people, because you can't do much with it because you're so scared to actually break it or to use it in the wrong way or anything like that. So you end up limiting yourself. And I'd just say to him, like, look, even if it's just your phone is a good camera. It's a good enough camera. Like this phone here, say it's basically the same phone that I had back then, but just a newer model. But even back then, it had 15 megapixel, whatever. It did 1080p, did all the stuff that's required. You see so many people that film on their phones, and you can turn it into a style. Even if it looks a little bit lo-fi, you can make that into something. Like, these videos aren't my best looking videos, but they're the ones that seem to have popped off because I think people engage with the content that's inside these videos. So that's what I would say, is just make engaging stuff and stop trying to be such an artiste. That's what I was always trying to do back then. I was trying to say something profound, and I didn't have anything profound to say. And I think most 17-year-olds think they have something profound to say, and basically every single one of those 17-year-olds is wrong, because they don't have enough life experience. They haven't been through anything that, they haven't been through enough hardship, or maybe they've been through some hardship, but they haven't figured out how to extrapolate lessons from it yet, and they're still finding their own way. And I would just say, just make stuff about what you know, rather than trying to learn about something that you don't, because you'll figure that stuff out anyway through life, and life will just teach you these lessons, and you can apply those lessons to your creative works. Because I was always going to go into making stuff, even if I never found an audience, even if I never found anyone. I have a drive to make stuff and just to create shit. And I know that's very pretentious to say, oh, I always had a drive, I always wanted to create. And it's like, oh, shut the fuck up. But I did. I actually did. Ever since I was a kid, I was writing these little novels that I would give into the library and stuff like that. And I'd bound them in little bits of string, and then I would hand it off to the library and say, can you put this on the bookshelf, please? And then they put it on the bookshelf, and probably stayed there for a few months, and then they got rid of it. Which is fair enough, because those books were a load of shit. They were written by a 7-year-old. I mean, what can you expect? But yeah, what else would I say to 17-year-old me who is coming into the future? Don't drink, don't smoke, all the basic stuff like that. Everyone knows not to do that, but when you're 17, it's very easy to make that stuff feel like it's cool, and the people who don't engage with that stuff aren't cool. They're squares, and it's no, they're not. They're just as cool as you, they're just as interesting as you, they have just as much to say as you. I think everyone pretty much has just as much to say as everyone else. It's just whether they have the capacity or the confidence to. And some people can't do this whole going out into the middle of nowhere and talking shit for 10 minutes. And some people can, and some people can't, but they'll try anyway. And that's fine. Everyone should give it a go. And even if they find out it's not for them, I think you should give this a go. And that's another thing I would say to my 17-year-old self, is start doing these videos earlier. And I think actually that's leading into what I wanted to say to my 17-year-old self, who was working on this thing called Morrison Productions. And I did a lot of these really crappy video essays, kind of meme-y, piss-takey sort of things. I did one about the secret of the sugar cubs, and how the sugar cubs, they're these little Facebook stickers, right? I had it there was this grand conspiracy. They came to Earth, and the CIA was experimenting on them and doing all kinds of crazy shit, satanic sort of stuff. And I did one about the crying with laughter emoji, and how that was a curse upon humanity, and how they're infesting everyone. And if you get infected by it, it's like you've been bitten by a zombie virus. And I did stuff like that, and I gave them up because I took a job in a fucking warehouse. And I would say to myself, just keep making them. Just don't stop. I feel like I ran out of ideas and I stopped because of that. But I would say to him, who cares if you've run out of ideas? You'll get some new ideas. But if you sit and do nothing, waiting for the new ideas to come, you will have lost the groove. And I tried to do it again a couple of months later, and I had lost the groove, and I made 3 videos, and then I stopped again. And then a few months after that, I made another 3 videos, and I stopped again. But I was starting to develop a semi-audience. It wouldn't have grown nearly as fast as this, but if I had stuck with it, I could have like probably gotten monetized, and even if I was only making like £20 a month or whatever off it, that's like a phone bill covered or something like that. That's your transport to and from work for like a week sorted, and that would have been pretty nice. And it would have given me a drive to keep making more stuff, and probably I would have expanded and my development as a creative a lot faster, and probably been in a much better position now if I hadn't given up. So yeah, don't give things up like that. Like, I had a lovely little community, and I forgot about it, and I just didn't keep it up. I didn't engage with it enough, and that's why I'm so dedicated to doing the one video day thing. And like, until New Year's Day, like a few days ago, I was doing it twice a day. And I was so dedicated to doing it twice a day, and I don't want to ever stop or miss a day, because I learned my lesson from the fact that I failed with that Morrison production thing. I could have developed something, and I didn't. What else would I sort of say? You'll feel depressed sometimes. You'll always feel down. You'll always get yourself down. You'll feel like the world's on top of you. You feel like you don't know where to go. And a nice little motto that I like is, it's from The Exorcist, and then Mark Kermode, the reviewer, likes to say it a lot. It says, everything will always be all right in the end, and if it's not all right, it's not the end. And to me, that is like the ethos of my existence. Is like, sometimes things are sort of shit, sometimes things don't work out for you, sometimes things are just kind of crap, but it's only temporary. And even if the nice times are only a mini oasis, cherish those nice times, because they're not always going to be there. And then eventually, once you get to that end, right, and everything feels good, then a new story will begin, and it won't be the end anymore, and you won't feel content anymore. Like, right now, I feel the happiest that I've ever felt. Like, the past few months have been easily the best time of my life, and I know that's not going to last forever. I know that that's going to eventually, there'll be a new depression, there'll be a new thing to catastrophize about, there'll be new anxieties to figure out. And I'll just be able to say to myself, this isn't the end. There's places to go from here, and there's development that needs to be done. And eventually I will find a new end, and that will last for a little bit, and I'll find a new best time of my life. Maybe one that'll be even better than this. And then that'll stop, and then that cycle will continue and continue and continue until I die. And I think if you can do that, if you can just keep conscious of your trajectory in life, you will get somewhere pretty interesting, even if you don't find objective success, even if you don't find monetary success or social success. But if you can find your own success where you can be proud of yourself for something that you've done, something that you've achieved, even if no one else gives a shit about it, you can be content and be happy with that. And that's what I would say to myself as a 17-year-old is, I was semi-proud of the things that I did, but no one really gave a shit about them, so I kind of downplayed the fact I was proud of them, which made me just sort of feel like I wasn't doing anything of worth. But, I was, even if they weren't great films, even if they weren't great bits of video or anything like that, or there was terrible music and all that sort of stuff. Why should it matter? Because that stuff wouldn't exist if not for me. And even if it only reached one other person, even if it didn't reach anyone else, the potential for it to reach one other person, that is something that you can't buy with money. That's only something that you can buy with brain power and putting some of your own conscience on the line for the sake of creativity. And I know my 17-year-old self wouldn't take any of this stuff to heart. They wouldn't be interested in what I have to say. It'd be like, when your parents tell you don't do something because I made that same mistake. You sort of hear them, but you don't listen to them, and you go and make the mistake anyway, because you have to make the mistakes. You have to put your foot in the mud so that you can realize that mud is not nice to be coated in. You have to throw yourself in the ocean in order to get wet. And then you need to dry yourself off. And when you dry yourself off after a bath, and then you've got your dressing gown on, maybe you have some soup or something like that with some nice toast. That's really nice. And you want to get to that point, right? But you're never going to get to that point if you don't chuck yourself into some freezing cold water. So, bad times are always going to happen. Bad times will always come, but don't let them get in your way. And that's essentially what I would say to my 17-year-old self, because he let that sort of thing get to his head a lot. I was always stressing about things I didn't need to stress about. I was always worrying about what people thought of me when I didn't need to. And, I'm an all right person at the end of the day. I'm not anything special, but I'm all right. So, I think you're pretty all right as well, whoever you are. I don't know you personally, but I'm sure you're decent. So just remember that. Know that you're good. Know that you've got a good heart and you've got a reason to be here. You've got a purpose on this world. And even if you don't know what that is yet, you're on the path to figuring it out, and that's your current purpose, is figuring it out. And then once you figure it out, your new purpose is to, actualize it. So yeah, please let me know in the comments below what you would say to your 17-year-old self. Maybe you are 17 and you don't know what you're going to do, and you're worried about like making the same mistakes as like your older brother or sister or whatever. But there's a long road ahead of you, and it's going to be all right, because everything will always be all right in the end. And if it's not all right, it's not the end. Thank you so much for watching this video, everybody. Hope you have a good rest of the day. Take care, and bye-bye.